What's up, guys? I got a possibly interesting clip. It's a long one. Um, it's a woman talking about her dating experience or a date that she had. So I always like to listen to some of these, you know, dating experiences women have because a lot of times it's a good insight into, women's thinking, right? How they view their dating fails. So, I want to check it out. So let's check it out.
So I want to talk about this horrible date that I went on and why it was so bad that it literally made me change my type entirely and never want to go back to dating this kind of man. I'll just say that. So first of all, this guy is somebody that I went to elementary school with. Our families kind of know each other. So it was a little bit nostalgic. I enjoyed like just talking to him because we were catching up. We were laughing about people that we knew from school and where we are now and stuff like that. He did have like three major talking points that he just circled around, and I noticed that he didn't talk about much else. He really only spoke about being a newly vegan, having a child, which I really don't like. I don't usually date men with children because I don't have any children of my own, and I don't care what you say. I don't want to be a stepmom.
Here's the thing, right? Women that don't want to date men with children is cool. I mean, you don't have a child. Um, you don't have a child, so it's your standard to not date a man with a child. But here's something I want to point out, right? It's that women can women don't understand the insanity of that in a certain way because you just equate him to having a child. Not about what's his personality, what's his character, what type of man is he? You just see child, man. That's it. So because he has a child, you don't want to date him purely because of that. It's cool. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have that as standard, but I always find that it's interesting that some women say that. Okay, some women say, "Oh, I don't want to date a man with a child," because sometimes it's like women can't see that. Fine, if you can not want to date a man for a certain thing, that really, I mean, in the sense that I guess it's, I don't know if it's his character or anything, but fine, you don't want to date him for a certain reason. You cannot be surprised that men don't want to date you for a certain reason. Okay, because a lot of times women say you shouldn't worry about body count. You shouldn't worry about this that. Preferences is very important, but sometimes it is okay for women to uh, say what their preference is, but if a man says it, you know, there's pushback. And here's the thing: there are also men. I've heard this term sometimes before too. How women, men will put down single mothers. Okay, men don't want to date single mothers, or men have whatever reason to not date them, and you get pushback for that. Okay. Also, these are sometimes the case where you know what, I, although she went on a date with him, but sometimes women, I always think that if they had a child, if women like let's say hypothetically she got a child, right? Now now she's fine with dating a man with a child in the sense that because you are now, what would I say? Um, I feel like these are men that you wouldn't have dated, right? Because if you have a child, now supposedly your value is a little bit lower. So now you will find with dating whatever type of men. So sometimes I feel like instead of, I don't know, sometimes people's standards would deter them away from good people, right? Good people. That's what essentially what I was trying to go for. Maybe I'm doing it being long winded, right? Because it's not like I'm scripting it. But I think that happens a lot where people's standards is deterring them away from certain people that may be good, but
So that was kind of like one thing that I was like, I kind of don't like that. But I was just kind of like, you know what? I could just date him. I don't need to meet his kid. And if we do get serious, then I'll consider it type thing. But this is why you don't move your standards around. Literally. He explained to me that he had his kid full time.
First of all, I mean, it's like that part is like, so you make it seem like men without kids would treat you bad, right? Because most likely she's talking about it because it's a bad experience. It's not why you know, don't change your standards. It's like one man does not necessarily mean all the men that have kids would treat you bad. It's kind of ridiculous in that sense. Because you make it by that statement, you make it seem like, oh, the men without kids, they treat me better. Yet, okay, yet you're not with them. So how well do they treat you then?
And he prioritized being a dad and his business, and he liked to travel. I could tell he had his own little style, which I was attracted to because I have my own style. I'm into like dressing up and stuff like that, so I felt like we were compatible in that sense. So anyways,
I kind of feel like by what she's just said is that the problem is she ignores any red flag, right? Or you know, ignore her standards because he's good looking. I have honestly, now this is not necessarily foolproof, but I think a lot of women will ignore a lot of things depending on how attractive the man is. So, we've seen it before, like the Wade Wilsons of the world. I hope you know the convicted criminal, right? A lot of women ignore his murderous tendencies. So
now to the date. First of all, he goes, "Okay, I'm gonna meet you at this chicken spot." Cool. We had already gone on a first date at this point, so I didn't expect the second date to be so like fancy and all that. So I didn't mind meeting him at this chicken place, whatever. First, he tells me that we're gonna be going at 8 o'clock. Literally at 7:50, he texts me to start getting ready, and I'm really confused because I was literally about to start heading out of the house, and I'm like, wait, are you not ready? Because I've been ready, and I'm like about to leave. You said 8 o'clock. And he was like, well, I had to order my fish ahead of time because they be running out, and so my food won't be ready till 8:45, and I have to go home and get dressed because I'm just not leaving work. Okay. First of all, I just thought that that was so rude that he went ahead and ordered his meal ahead of time, and he didn't even ask me what I wanted so that he could place the order for my food at the same time. Because I'm just thinking like, okay, so we're gonna get there and your food is gonna be ready and mine is not even gonna be ordered yet. Like, how are we gonna do this, and how does that make sense? Like,
that that is like that's the thing where women will ignore shit, right? Red flags. Late, ordering his own food before, you know, even before her, and that's the thing where he must be pretty decently good looking, right? He must be pretty decently good looking to you to ignore those kind of red flags. This is your second date. If this is the type of person he is already, you didn't need to bother your time. You don't need to waste your time. It's like that. That's the thing where I bet you if he was less good looking, right? If he was mediocre, very average looking, hell, if he was me, right? And I did that crap, boom, she would block me right away. Like I think a lot of women will do concessions because of how good looking you are, right? Or certain things, right? Maybe how rich you are, how good looking you are. So, and this is the thing. This is the curse that women are so superficial. Okay, because of these standards, right? Because of they hit these markers, right? How good looking he is or how wealthy he is. I will ignore red flags until I can't. Instead of, you know what? He's not that good looking. He's not that wealthy. I'm gonna block him right away because he already crossed my boundaries. Right? Being late, ordering food without you, it's kind of rude. Already, the lateness already is like that is like done. But yeah, that's the thing with women. If you hit a certain, certain look threshold or wealth threshold, they will ignore a lot.
Rude. So he's very late to our date. He doesn't arrive to the spot till like probably like 9:15, and since like 8:40 I had been in the parking lot because I pride myself in being pretty punctual. I don't know. So we get to the spot and his order is ready and he goes ahead and pays for his food. So I turn to him and I'm like, so should I place the order for my food now? Like, he didn't even ask me what I like. Didn't consider that I have to eat at all. And he looks at me and goes, I don't know. And I'm like, okay.
It's like that's what I'm saying. It's like this is the thing, right? This is the thing where women have. I honestly believe women build their narrative, their viewpoints on the backs of bad men, right? How they feel about men. Men are cheaters. Men are liars. Men are rude, disrespectful, not just only dating bad men, right? They only date shitty men, and then they blame all men. They say all men. They put a blanket statement towards all men. By going out with shitty men, men that you waste your time on, men that cross your boundaries, right? Men that treat you shitty. You go for those men. You are attracted to those men. You date those men, right? Either you even get in a relationship with those men, you get pregnant by those men, you get married to those men. Bad men, right? Now that those bad men have treated you terribly, now you have an image of men. When you don't. You don't really have an image of men. You don't really know how men are because you only go for the men you are attracted to. You only go for the men that you want. That's not an image of men, okay? I honestly believe the majority of men aren't cheaters. I honestly believe the majority of men aren't liars, okay? I honestly believe the majority of men wouldn't treat a woman. She's pretty good looking, right? Would treat her this shitty. But because she goes for men that are just superficial, he's good looking, okay? And then that man treats her shitty. Now that's her view of men. Men will treat you shitty.
So I go ahead and start looking at the menu, and he takes a phone call, and so he walks away. And I'm like, okay, this is so fucking weird. But whatever, I place my order, and the woman goes, okay, your total is $15.60 or something like that. And he's just standing like a yard away, like looking at his phone, and I'm just like, are you gonna pay? And he didn't. He didn't want to pay for my food. Red flag. So I'm like, okay, this is insane. I literally wanted to just
Strong, independent women, right? You don't need no man. You have your own. It's there's always when it's like having to spend. That's when they're not all that strong, independent anymore.
run, because I don't know about you, but I am more traditional in a sense where, like, I think that if you invite me to dinner and you're the man, and you should be paying for my food.
Does this woman seem like a traditional woman? I don't think so. Right? This is the insanity of. Look at this, right? Yes, the guy's a dick, but again, modern day women, they pick and choose what traditions they want. Modern day women will pick and choose what traditions they want. Right? It's like, oh, how about like being submissive to a man? Oh, that's not a tradition I want. Right? That's not good. Really? Okay. Oh, but paying for your food. That's the tradition you want. That's where you say you're traditional. Honestly, I honestly don't believe there are many traditional women nowadays. I don't. In my honest opinion, maybe 90% are modern, right? They're not traditional at all. They're, I think there's very few that are truly traditional.
I feel like that's really bare minimum. But whatever, I pay for my food and we sit down and start eating. First, one of the first things that he says to me when I sit down is that weave in your head? Is that weave in your head? Just like that, with a stupid fucking smirk on his face. And I'm like, no, this is my natural hair. He's like, oh, I thought that was weave in your head. I'm like, okay. And he's like, I've never dated a girl that wore her natural hair. I always dated girls that wear wigs and weaves and stuff like that. I'm like, okay. Like, what?
It's weird, right? For me, besides one, right? Most of the most of the black women I've dated, they really just wear their natural hair, right? The one I dated, I mean, sometimes she wears a wig, right? A lot of times she just put a hat on or some shit. So it's not like she's she wears a wig all the time. But I've only had one woman, one black woman that wear the wig, you know, more than I've been used to. Usually the women I've dated, they wear always their natural hair.
What is the point of saying that? What is the point? Then he starts getting into why he decided to make a major change in his diet or whatever, and why, like, basically insinuating that he has issues with like gaining weight and he's not active, so he had to whatever, eat different, whatever. He's like, how much do you weigh? And I'm like, I don't know, I don't really step on a scale. I work out regularly, and he knew this because I had talked about it with him before. So I just thought it was weird that he was like questioning me about my weight and diet and stuff like that. He's like, oh, let
I
me
don't
get.
know why she looks fit. Like that body is pretty nice, right? This is the thing, right? Imagine if that guy was butt ugly. She would have walked away to this guy ages ago. This guy must be top tier good looking. He must be really top tier good looking. Because to me, I'm just hearing like, wow, woman, all these red flags. I mean, all these points is like, seriously, you didn't leave at all? He must have been top tier good looking. This is this is the thing why I kind of like listening to women's dating experience, right? Because you can see how they go. You can see what they are doing, right? The hypocrisy they live in. So you talk about all this shit about men. Men are this, men are that, but you allow it. That's the thing. You choose these men. You allow these bad behaviors. Okay. You choose these men that have these bad behaviors. You are attracted to these men that have bad behaviors. These men that treat you like shit. These men that are dicks to you. These men that are rude to you. These men don't value you. You choose these men. You go after these men. You date these men. You are attracted to these men. So really, how can I have any sympathy for you that when you want these men? Because look, obviously she still wanted him. Obviously, because seriously, all these like little moments, right? That were this man's a dick. This man is like treating you like shit, and yet you ignore it. You continue.
Yes, you're like probably 120, 125. I'm just sitting there like, okay, what the fuck is the point of saying this? Then he's like, you know what I don't like? I don't like how society today, women expect a man to pay for everything. Huh? So I'm just sitting here like, how did this man find me? Initially, like, he just didn't seem like this kind of guy at all. So I was just really confused because I felt like I was really getting a different version of this man. To put it cute, this man was literally sitting in front of me trying to humble me. Literally. To not pay for my food.
So he did all this. He did all this on purpose, right? Which is I knew that, right? Did it to humble her. That's the thing where like women allow shit to happen. They because these men meet certain attraction criteria, so women allow these things, right? The humbling.
Sit in front of me and ask me if I'm wearing a weave. Then guess my weight. Then tell me you don't like how women expect men to spend so much money on them and pay for everything. Like, just say you don't like women. Right? Like, am I bugging, or like, why the fuck are you bothering me? Like, why were you pressing me so much about wanting to take me out if this is what you're gonna do with my time? When I left, I'm just like, I'm never gonna see this man again. I blocked him. I didn't feel like I owed him an explanation why I didn't want to see him. I felt like he could just tell on my face that this girl's never gonna see me again. And I almost felt like he was doing and saying this stuff to almost test me and like manipulate me to, like, I don't know. Like, I don't really know what that is. What is the point of doing that? Please help me.
Honestly, if he was more sly, I think he could have continued to manipulate her, because he was doing that, right? He was doing that. If he was more sly, less direct, he could probably still continue to manipulate her. And this is the thing where women don't understand. Women have to understand that the men that you want, well, don't be surprised that these men are toxic. Women love toxic men. They do.
But please.
It's just that these. Just so happens this man was way too blunt. He was way too straightforward. I guess he gave no shit.
I just am like, I can't do this to myself again. And that's why I don't date black men anymore. Yay. I graduated. Thank you for watching.
I didn't know it was gonna go there. I didn't know it was gonna go that way. That she doesn't want to date black men anymore. Okay, I mean, here's the thing, right? About that, especially the last statement, not dating black men anymore. Now, I've said this before, that shitty men does not mean it's about the race of a man, right? He's not shitty because of his race. He's shitty because he has a shitty personality. This is something that I think a lot of women will deal with, in the sense that, cool, you want to change your race, your type, because you change your race now to what, like white boys or whatever. Cool, but that doesn't mean that you now all of a sudden, oh, now I'm not gonna get shitty men because now I'm not dating black men, I'm dating white men. You honestly haven't changed your type. You just changed the race of the man. And I said this, the race of the man does not dictate him being a shitty man or not. Okay? His character, his personality, that's who he was. Because honestly, let's say this, right? Let's imagine she didn't even mention his race at all. Okay? That could be a white man, right? A white man could do that shit. An Asian man, whatever man, no matter, right, can do all that stuff that she said. Nothing she really said was race specific. Okay? There are plenty of men that in one race or another that don't want to pay. There are plenty of men that are baby daddies in other different races. So honestly, this is the thing where I really wish women would understand. It's not the race, okay? Which, fine. You want to change the race? Cool. But with that mentality, oh, I'm changing the race, now I'm going to get different men. That may hurt you. That may hurt you, because here's the thing. You are still looking for the same type of man, okay? Same type of man, same whatever, order, personality, looks, whatever, because you're not focusing on past superficial qualities, right? Focus on his character, his personality, because honestly, right, his personality, I meant for me, I'm early. I hate being late. I don't be late. That's not really me. I'm not looking to be late. I rather, just like she said, kind of like before with the date thing. I rather be a little bit earlier or right on time. I'm not a person who, it's personality. Okay, that's the thing. The characters, their moralities, their principles. Those are things that you should figure out. Those are things you should be attracted to. If you want long term relationship. If you want just flings, sexual partners, fine. The looks, the money, okay, that's fine. But if you want long term commitment, I think personality, morality, principle, boundaries, just inside is more important. And a lot of women seem to neglect that during the dating process, right? They think about it like after, like, I don't know, months of a relationship already, but during the dating process, they don't think about the personality. So I don't know. I think that's gonna not help her. Just think about, oh, let me change the race of the man I'm going for. Now I'm gonna have success. I don't think that's gonna be a good thing. So, I don't know. What do you guys think?